March Madness is just days away, and this morning some of Philly's top basketball coaches are teaming up for a good cause. The 27th annual American Cancer Society's Coaches vs. Cancer Tourney Tip-Off Breakfast kicks off in about 45 minutes. CBS News Philadelphia's Ross DiMattei is live at the Palestra with more on today's event. Hey, Ross.
Hey, Jim, this is a great event for a great cause. Like you mentioned, they've been doing this for nearly 3 decades now. The Coaches vs. Cancer annual tip-off event. This is the breakfast that's going to be happening in less than an hour. And over the years, they've raised more than $20 million for the American Cancer Society. And you can imagine how that's gone just such a long ways towards cancer research, helping families affected by cancer. It's been so huge for the Philadelphia area, and I know that these college coaches love being here. Maybe not so much in a year like this, because we, for the 3rd year in a row, will not have any Philadelphia teams represented in the March Madness tournament on the men's side of the bracket, which is not what any basketball fan in Philadelphia wants to hear, but that is just the reality of the situation. Before that, we went 44 years in a row with having at least one team from Philadelphia make it to the tournament. So we got pretty accustomed to participating in March Madness, but that hasn't been the case as of lately. Now, we were supposed to speak with some coaches here during this live interview, but we were told that Coach Fisher of Temple University is just running a few minutes late, so we're showing you kind of the lay of the land here. This is going to be filled with all sorts of sponsors and coaches who are hoping to raise more money for the American Cancer Society. Guys, as soon as we track down one of these coaches, my big question is why? Why are Philadelphia schools struggling so much in recent years to make it to March Madness when we became such regulars at the big tournament, the big dance? Now it seems like we have no one to root for. So as soon as we get a coach, I'm going to ask him that very question. Why are we struggling so much? But in the meantime, we're going to enjoy this nice breakfast, and it is, after all, for a very good cause. Guys, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
They're running late because they don't want to answer that question, Ross. That's the problem.
That's right. That's exactly right.
We'll check in with you a little later on. Thank you, my friend.
As we mentioned, they may not have made it to the dance this year, but some of Philly's top basketball coaches, they're teaming up this morning again for a great cause. The 27th annual American Cancer Society's Coaches vs. Cancer Tourney Tip-Off Breakfast kicked off just about an hour ago. Our Ross DiMattei, he is there live at the Palestra with more on the events this morning. This is always a great morning for a great cause, Ross.
It certainly is, Janelle. Good morning to you. The breakfast is currently underway, so I'm going to try and keep my voice down just a little bit. Like you said, this is a great event for a great cause. They have raised millions of dollars for cancer research over the years, and it's also considered kind of the unofficial kickoff to March Madness here in Philadelphia. But for the 3rd straight year, not a single Philadelphia school will be going dancing, and that is not sitting well with a lot of Philadelphia basketball fans. So let's talk about it. Donning their best suits and sneakers, that is the dress code for this event. These head coaches of Philadelphia's Big 5 basketball schools have gathered here at the Palestra for the American Cancer Society Coaches vs. Cancer Tourney Tip-Off Breakfast. They've been enjoying a morning of food, fun, and talking some hoops. The reality, though, is that they would rather be getting ready to compete in the NCAA tournament. But for the 3rd straight year, Temple, Drexel, UPenn, St. Joe's, LaSalle, and Villanova will all miss out on March Madness. Before that, Philadelphia had enjoyed 44 straight years of at least one team making the tournament. So we've been asking these coaches why they've struggled to qualify lately, and they've all pointed to the changing college athletics landscape fueled by the introduction of NIL money, or name, image, and likeness.
It's a big factor right now, especially with revenue sharing and being able to pay student athletes. So I think any of those things are big factors where alumni and fans can now be more engaged with their teams more than ever.
You got to look and see where each team in their respective conference ranks in terms of spending. And if you're not at the very top, you know, you're going to be in a battle to retain your players and do those things. So that is one of the challenges. We do have a passionate city. We have great fans in Philadelphia. What we need to work to do is to get those fans into gyms, into buildings, get attendance up, and make these great home court advantages.
And a couple of these coaches told me, quite frankly, it's just not a fair playing field with this NIL money introduced. That aside, 3 of these 6 Philadelphia schools will be making major coaching changes after UPenn and Villanova fired their coaches earlier this week. And, of course, legendary LaSalle coach Fran Dunphy recently announced that he will be retiring. Only time will tell, Janelle, if those coaching changes will lead these programs to a turnaround and hopefully get them into the field of 68 for future NCAA tournaments so we can start competing and have a team to root for. I'll send it back to you.
I know, it's such a bummer when we don't have any teams to root for. But listen, we have Princeton to look forward to, Lehigh, fingers crossed. So we'll see what happens with them on the women's side. Thank you so much, Ross.